Hello everyone, welcome to another conference video with the RU Cosplay cast. You are listening in with me, Chelsea. I'll be hosting today's talk. And we have the voice man himself, Kirby Kwan Jr. Would you like to say hello?
That shall be me.
Yes, sir. And we also have Shane, not my brother. Shane, hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome. I'm pretty okay. How are you?
Okay, surviving.
Sweet.
I'm exhausted.
I know. Why are you so exhausted?
I didn't sleep until like 6:30.
Is this what happens when you stay home all day?
This is my own doing, admittedly. I can't blame anybody.
Oh my gosh. Are you going to be okay for today's talk?
I will be... not quite okay, just I...
Okay. That's good enough,
Okay.
I think. I think that's good enough. So today we're going to be talking about adaptations of characters or designs that we'd like to cosplay. I was hoping maybe we could talk about Kirby's first because his idea is from one of my favorite games, Zelda. Is that okay with you?
I'm tired. I'm joking.
Let me hear
You said
it.
yes to this.
I did not. I said Right. So, sure. The idea that I had was because, if you follow the channel, then you would know that Chelsea's been working on her Bowser cosplay, which is kind of like her own take on it, where it's kind of like a savage kind of like armor on it.
Like a Monster Hunter kind of thing.
Yeah. So it got me thinking like, oh, maybe Shane and I should also do like a few Nintendo characters and kind of put our own twist to it, right? So I thought of, I love Legend of Zelda. I see a lot of people cosplay as Link. There's at least like 10 people at any given moment cosplaying as Link at most larger conventions. So I thought, why don't I do a cosplay of Link, but not do the stock standard version and kind of have like a little twist to it. So what I had in mind was to sort of give him a more semi-regal warrior look that still looks like an adventurer. I haven't drafted anything just yet, but think basically making him look a lot more realistic and less cartoony features wise. So I might have to cut off like the elf ears. Rather than giving him the cap with the point, I'll probably turn that into a hood with the point. Armor him up just a little bit. I don't want him to look too much like he's about to go to war or nothing, but at the same time, I don't want him to look elf-like. Like I don't want him to look like, oh yes, fighting Ganondorf on Sundays and then helping Santa Claus deliver gifts on Christmas type of thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's like an idea that I had. I probably like just give him like a few armor plates in the front, maybe like pauldrons as well, and just basically make him look very, very realistic. Basically, I don't want this dude to look like a cartoon.
Definitely not Wind Waker.
I do have the face shape for that.
Aw. Yeah.
I just don't have the 4-inch eyeballs for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The saucer plate.
Yeah. What are some weapons do you think that you would add on to that design?
I have been thinking about that. Obviously I will have to definitely have the Master Sword, the Hylian Shield as well. I probably take out his traditional recurve for a crossbow, and I think that might be it. I don't want to go too far with like a hook shot or anything like that, because that might take away from some of the realism.
Yeah.
If I do something like a hook shot, I'd probably swap it out for something like a chain whip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you think you'll wear a wig for this?
Absolutely not necessarily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
Why
like
not?
it's gonna be under a hood anyways. So why would I want to like? First things first. You could already see it. Like my hair is already so incredibly messed up and long. I basically bandanaed myself up to keep it on check. I'm the type of guy that hates wearing anything on his head outside of like a regular hat. So just a hood is good enough.
Aw. That's awesome. When do you think you'll be able to start on this project?
Never until further notice. I'm joking.
Yeah.
It's mostly a matter of getting materials in, right? Because the biggest difficulty is trying to draft an armor that looks contemporary enough for it to not look whack, but still fit the general themes of Legend of Zelda while putting my own kind of design aesthetics onto it. So realistically, the biggest issue is not necessarily making it, I don't think. It's designing it first. So I need to get started on that, and then I would be able to get started on actually building it.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're drawing inspiration from in order to sort of like frame out the adaptation?
So I've looked at a few like custom combos that you could like do on oh man, which one was it? The Breath of the Wild. And then I've also like seen, I'm drawing some inspiration from like the armors, actually from Assassin's Creed 2. Like I looked at some of their armors because it's very simplistic in terms of the outline of each plate and everything, but there's a lot of small ornate details. So I really want to do something like that where, you know, plated wise, it's very simple, but I want to put in a lot of like etching and stuff onto the armors and stuff. And then, because, you know, when I make modern armors, you kind of see it over here. Maybe if I just, you kind of see it over there. It's very simplistic in terms of like color schemes. It's just jet black or like all gray or whatever, right? So when I do this piece, I really want to actually finally utilize some of my paint skills, which for those who haven't seen, please check out our paint tutorial if you want to learn how to very simply get more depth in your armors. So I want to sort of like put some of that to work because I can do it. I just don't do it often. So might as well. Perfect opportunity.
Yeah. So I know like with characters, what makes them so iconic is their designs, right? So for example, for my Bowser, I wanted to make sure I had like huge horns, obviously the color scheme and the shells. What are some parts from the Assassin's Creed design and the Breath of the Wild design that you think are gonna clash well? Because they're really awesome designs. It's just a matter of what will you keep and what will you let go of.
For me, I'm thinking like with the Assassin's Creed design, it's mostly just the armor I'm looking at.
Okay.
With that,
hood?
Kinda, not really.
Okay.
Because the hood idea initially I thought of from a company called Volante Designs. They do a lot of like superhero and gamer based clothing, basically, and jackets and stuff. And they created a hood scarf thing that highly resembled like Link from Legend of Zelda. That's where the initial idea came from. But mostly, I would say like taking more leather based elements from custom stuff you could do with Breath of the Wild, with the more armored like plated stuff from Ezio's Master Assassin outfit at the end of the game, and just kind of trying to blend those together. But I would say what I think would be challenging is sort of figuring out the right colors in terms of like contrast, because I want certain things to stand out, but I don't want it to be overpowered and completely take away from the character of Link.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be like, I guess, like my biggest thing I need to overcome first, figuring out a design that works for this character.
Yeah, I think what you're doing with this design is a lot harder from what I'm doing because I think for myself, I'm not really blending two characters per se. I'm blending one character with an aesthetic. But for you, it's like, you know, you got to pick and choose certain things. And I feel like that can get really hard.
Well, I mean, for me, ultimately, it is still just one character. It's trying to remove it from its like mystical roots and put it into a more real world aesthetic that I think would be the difficult thing. But as soon as I get like a design locked down, it should be fine. And then the other thing too is I don't really mess with fabrics. That's like something that would be interesting for me to play with.
Right.
I was gonna ask, do you think you'll have chainmail in it?
No.
Okay. That's something I haven't like tried yet. So I'm like, ooh.
I probably can,
Mm-hmm.
but just logistically, my philosophy on cosplay should always be keep the cost down and then keep the weight down.
Yeah.
The more of a potential nuisance you could be at a library, then the bigger of an issue it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
I mean, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like any like rattling. I take a step, just
People have
I don't,
already made. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to cosplay like as the soundbox for key noises, right?
Okay. What I was gonna say is, I've seen people actually make chainmail using like EVA foam, but it's such a tedious and like long process.
How do you do it?
Basically, you just cut out like the chains out of the EVA foam, like all the little like links, all the little like rings, essentially.
Oh, the links.
And then you
huh?
just keep doing. Yeah, I know, right? And then you just keep doing that over and over and over. And some people simplified the process by using like a laser cutter, but
which we totally have,
exactly.
Yeah.
and which you totally have too, guys, sitting at home.
So it's honestly just not all that worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks so cool though. One day. Oh wow. That's cool, Kirby.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to like see the actual design. I freaking love Zelda. So
And then another thing that I might be doing is simply reusing that piece there in the back, using the torso, making a new arm set for my own take on Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. How is that
Nice,
gonna
nice,
look?
nice.
Can you share that info right now, or?
Yeah, it would look just like the Shredder armor with different
Cool.
arms,
Yeah.
a white hood, a skeleton
Yeah.
face mask, and like a different sword harness. It's
Okay.
basically done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's great though, because like cosplay for me is kind of like wearing this like one dress for one occasion kind of thing.
Mhm.
But your approach is a lot more like a reusable sense.
Because I'm
so-
cheap.
Hey man, you're resourceful.
we're all
You're
cheap.
creative.
We're all cheap, man.
Language shame.
Sorry. Oh man.
Shane, can we go on with your designs right now?
Sure. So I was originally thinking Meta Knight from Kirby, but from Smash. And the thing about it is that doing research on Meta Knight cosplays was kind of a trip, because there's some whack designs out there. Some things that you see people just do of like,
Yeah.
oh, like I'm going to be like a... What is it, like a cylinder? Like, that's just kind of
What?
like standing. Yeah, they basically make like a whole cutout of themselves, all right? Like
Like
because
so.
Meta Knight's meant to be like a round sort of shape, right? There's no real humanoid or anatomical features here.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, all right, like people decided like either that or like I'm just gonna put on a coat and then his mask and that's it. And to me, it's just like it's not great in my opinion. Like those designs, I feel like you could do a lot better. He's meant to be a knight, so to me is like I'm kind of gonna go for a medieval knight sort of look using him, and I do want to keep certain aesthetics accurate to it, sort of like his color scheme. All right, number one, which is like dark purple, gold, a little bit of navy, and some reds,
Mhm.
and then his silver mask like going down the front. But to me, it's like I don't know. Like I'm kind of thinking, sort of like how Kirby's going with bringing Assassin's Creed into this. I was thinking like maybe I could bring in The Witcher for something.
Yo, why
like
you like
this.
copying my ideas, dog? Like
Just saying,
the
it's a good
original.
idea.
dog.
It's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Shane, will
'Cause
you
I'm
have
thinking-
wings? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want
Chicken wings?
Yeah, I want
Awesome.
wings.
Awesome.
I've been looking at some designs as well. When it came to actual like foldable wings that you can like pop out, it is hard. It is really, really hard to land something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But dude,
I
you
was just
got-
curious as all.
You got time to figure that out now, boy.
Yeah, well, all of us got time. That's all we have. And I was thinking more of like adapting it like closer towards like The Witcher or something like that. Just because I actually do enjoy some of that medieval like armor look that they have. It's all like, I believe Nordic is their style. So I was just curious, and they also do actually do a lot of sort of like layering fabric with like plate mails, like, you know, to varying degrees. So I was thinking like it actually makes a lot of sense considering the color scheme that Meta Knight's got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you'll go more into detail with that for like his body armor and stuff, right? Because he's like a circle, isn't he? Meta Knight?
Yeah.
I am a circle as well.
Yeah, like he's essentially he's a plushie. Like there's no other way to describe him other than just a round, like soft plushie, right?
Yeah.
His sword is also like insanely crazy, like because it's pronged on multiple sides. And at like varying like levels. It just doesn't make any sense in the practical world, so that's definitely something I'm gonna have to adapt as well when it comes to his weapons.
Yeah. Well, that's tough. How do you think you'll approach that? You're pretty good with like weapons and stuff, so.
Yeah, for that one, I think I'm probably going to go with a design that, complete like straight edge almost, alright, like on one side, but on the other, alright, I'll add like teeth to it. It won't necessarily look like a medieval sword, but
You mean a regular cutting edge on one side and then serrated on the other?
yeah.
Okay.
Either that or I could do something more with the guard, where that could actually be like more pronged and like pointed. I don't know. It'd actually be like an interesting challenge for it. Also, his sword is gold, so
Yeah.
that would be a very interesting color scheme to work with.
Absolutely. Do you think you'll have LEDs as eyes, or do you think you're just gonna like, I don't know, have your helmet open for your eyeballs? I don't know. It's just like he's so cute. How are you gonna make him like evil looking? I don't know.
I didn't know where you were going with that, Chelsea. I thought you were like, because he's so cute, and you were like, not.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that.
No, because I didn't know where you're going with that. I'm like, Chelsea, be careful of your words.
I know. No. Hi, Maeve. No. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
Where are we going here with this, man?
We're not advocates of bullying. Let's just make that clear.
But I think I'm going to go with the LED style to it.
Cool.
It might actually also be interesting to maybe bring it in with like Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
Just because of his helmet design is like, it's sort of like, you know, going down, the aesthetic to it. It's not exactly the same. It's got the glowing eyes, but his armor is simple. I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah. And I see that Meta Knight is bald. What do you plan on doing with your hair?
Shave it.
Shave it.
Helmet.
Baldness.
Actually, yeah.
Man.
This kind of goes with like your helmet theme with like even your previous cosplays. You said that you do a lot of like helmet cosplays, right?
Yeah, helmeted or like masked characters. That's sort of like my style when it comes to cosplaying. I totally get it. Like, you know, for people who just want to, like, you know, I don't know, have their au natural face going for the whole thing. But for me, it's like, I don't know, man. I would much rather like cover it up.
Hey Shane. Why don't you go do rag?
I might to like sort of like control this and then fit the helmet on top of it all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I feel like there's something to be said about all the pictures and stuff that like me and Kirby sort of looked at when we were trying to figure out Meta Knights of like what makes like a good adaptation.
I didn't swallow yet. I just took a sip. I almost said that on top of it. I almost choked. Man.
Oh man.
But yeah, we saw some pretty strange looking things. Like we saw people dressed up as Meta Knight, who, you know, is a knight, while wearing like a jumpsuit, which totally doesn't clash with that idea.
What the heck?
It was like a single guy in like a bodysuit, and he had like a flat paper mask like over his face.
Can you find it? Is it online?
It's online.
We shouldn't bully this dude, man.
I know. You're right.
For a second,
But to me,
yes, Shane.
in my opinion, it's just not the best. Like, you could do a lot better with like a little bit more time and a little bit more practice.
You messed up. Yeah, so you dig yourself into a hole. You're like, how do I get out of this?
No, well, to me, it was just like, I didn't want to sound like uber offensive of just being like, with more skill.
With more skill.
Man, now you dug yourself into your grave.
Yeah. Improve.
But
We're
to me,
all
it's
here
just-
to improve. It's okay.
Exactly.
There you go.
Right? And when I was looking at, like, reference images of just seeing what people have done, to me, it's just like, I mean, there's so much more, right? Like, you could add to this, all right? Like, a proper, like, helmet design, an actual proper sword, right? Rather than, like, some paper cutout that they made. That's, like, 2D and flat. Yeah, just stuff like that. And to me, it's just, like, I don't know. It was tough kind of thinking to myself, like, do I really want to start adapting this character? Do I really want to start working on this? So,
Yeah, that kind of.
1 second. Camera, for some reason, just closed.
Maybe you need to do the format card thing too.
Oh
God
no!
damn it.
Well, while Shane gets that set up, that kind of reminds me of like one of the reasons why I wanted to try redesigning Bowser.
Okay.
A lot of them are like really sexy, and it doesn't help that Bowsette came along, right? So
Oh, yeah. For sure.
yeah, and I'm not trying to do that. So yeah, I wanted to try to do something a little bit different. Shane, have you tried designing your Meta Knight yet? Like, have you started drafting or not yet?
Not really.
Why are you
been
slacking, dog?
There's so much time.
Yeah.
I've kind of just been looking more at designs, just to see like what other people have done, as well as like thinking to myself, I don't know. I was kind of researching more into like Witcher's design as well, right?
Double the research.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to
I
me,
get
is like it's a weird thing to kind of be looking at like two completely different aesthetics almost, all right, and like trying to like get the best of both and just put it all together.
Yeah.
Because
I
in
hear
Witcher, right, like no one actually really wears masks necessarily, unless like they're like a sorcerer character or something like that. None of the Witchers, from what I could tell in the game, right, really wear many like masks or helmets in general. A lot of them are like light armor, or every now and then like maybe the occasional heavy set armor. So it's kind of interesting in that, like, how do you kind of like bring both together for something like this?
Yeah, so what approach are you going to get? Because Meta Knight, like, the way I went to my design is that Bowser, even in Smash, he's a very, like, slow, heavy character. So that's why I made the armor, like, really heavy looking. It's foam. But for you, and Meta Knight being so round yet swift, but the Witcher design's very, like you said, very light, either super light or super heavy. What do you think your approach is going to be for that?
I feel like I'm probably going to go for the lighter armor styles that The Witcher shows. Because a lot of Meta Knight's armor itself, like, if you really sort of break it down, all right, you could do something almost like, I don't know if anyone here watched, what was it again? Code Geass. There's a character in it named Lelouch, right? He's literally the main character. And his sort of design is very much like Meta Knight's, because he also wears like a purple and gold sort of like, I would say, cloak around him, all right? Completely masked design like up here as well. But I think it might be interesting to go for the very base armor that you sort of like first start off with in The Witcher, and just change the colors for it. Because what he has is like 2 chainmail plates, like basically on his shoulder, like, you know, right around here, and then another one like going down the rest of his arm. And it's just 2 of those, all right, on both sides, and then just leather armor underneath. And to me, it's just like, I mean, that to me is like the cleanest out of all of the Witcher armors that I've seen so far. Needless to say, I haven't like looked too deeply into like all of the armor sets yet. But to me, it's like something like that with instead of like a silver plate could be like gold, all right, and then like the purple like underneath or something.
Oh man, that sounds expensive. Just in my mind, I'm like, oh, all the layers. Layered looks are freaking sick. But, you know.
I'm just thinking I'm probably going to, like, get a piece of foam, all right, and then just, like, punch out holes in it to get that chain mail sort of look to it.
Yeah.
Why not use a cheese grater?
I guess you could.
That sounds like a lot of work. But so is my design, so...
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I can't wait to see your designs because I have mine and I love mashups. They're always like super cute and fun to look at. So I guess that's it for today's conference. Once again, this is the RU Cosplay channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow us on Instagram at RU Cosplay _ and follow us on Facebook at RU Cosplay. And don't forget, you can dream it, you can make it, you can become it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!